What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another episode in the FIFA 17 career mode. This is episode number 13, and we start today's episode off by finding out that Stuart Downing is not going to leave the club after all. Yes, transfer talks broke down between Downing and Red Bull Leipzig as he is unwilling to relocate at this time. And how about this? Of course, in this morning's episode, you saw it was surely going to be Downing's farewell today in this evening's episode, because in this morning's episode he had multiple bids from multiple clubs. We agreed a deal with Red Bull Leipzig, the German side, of £5.2 million. He had his farewell, his send-off game. I made him captain against Port Vale, where he scored in that game as we beat Port Vale by 5-1 to put us through to the next round, the FA Cup. He led the side out in that game, and then afterwards he turns around and goes, actually, I don't want to go after all. So Downing is going to stay, it seems. There's more bids for him. We'll continue to try and push him out of the club, but as things stand right now, it looks like Downing will stay, which is fine, don't get me wrong. I don't mind that at all. He's a decent squad player to have, and of course, with him being born in Middlesbrough, coming through the academy, it's kind of nice to keep him here for sentimental value, I guess. But it's like, you know, in terms of like going forward, he doesn't really do too much for us in terms of our long-term ambition. So I'm a little bit frustrated, but I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens afterwards. Still, a big game for Jordan Rhodes as well, our English-born Scottish striker. Montpellier, the French club, put in a £5.5 million bid. He's valued at £4.1 million, 75 overall, 26 years old. Now, I like Jordan Rhodes. We asked for £7 million, but he's only scored one goal all season long. Abraham scored one himself, and also Berahino scored a few. Negredo scored a couple. We have had striker problems this season, but I wouldn't be against selling him for £7 million and then trying to buy a younger striker. Also, Stuani does go to Nottingham Forest for £1.5 million as well. And also, Toulouse came back to us regarding Downing's counter-off we put in the last episode, and they said they would also match £5.2 million. So Downing doesn't want to go to Germany. Does he want to go to France? Well, he's not going to go to Nacional, as we flat out reject this bid, as they're clearly not going to offer the £5.2 million we are after. So Downing may leave after all, just not to Red Bull Leipzig. I guess we'll have to wait and see as Toulouse match that counter offer. And again, confirmation here, Stuani, as you could see, had his deal completed and he goes to Nottingham Forest. Also, Spurs rejected our bid for Onoma as well, but I decided to leave that one there and not bother putting in a new bid. Montpellier came back to us regarding Jordan Rhodes. They said they go as high as £6.5 million. I wanted 7, but I'll take £6.5 million. It's over 2 million over his valuation. Only one goal all year long. And again, I do like Jordan Rhodes, I really do, but I think we could probably do better going forward. So we'll wait and see what happens there, and he may well be off to Montpellier. Also, Adama is returning from injury. Excellent news as well. Really pleased about that. Adama's been out for the past 2 months. Since then, Fisher has come in and taken his place, been on the left-hand side. We pushed Menendez to the right-hand side, but it's still good to know Adama will be returning and he could be fit for the next game. Also put in bids for 3 new strikers here as well. Benny Kofobe and Callum Wilson of Bournemouth, and also Yoshinori Muto, the Japanese striker, currently playing for FSV Mainz. Just because if Jordan Rhodes is going to go for around £6.5 million, I wouldn't mind a new backup striker to sit alongside Saido Berahino on the bench and give competition for Alvaro Negredo as well. So we shall wait and see what those clubs say. Still, yet another bid for Stuart Downing, and also Mainz came back to us regarding Downing's offer and said it goes as high as £4 million. We just said, well, do you know what? You're not going to go to £5 million like we're asking, so don't even worry about it. But as you can see, 4 new bids for Stuart Downing. Osasuna Angers, NEC, and also Wigan Athletic as well. 4 new clubs coming in for Stuart Downing. I literally don't know what the appeal is for Stuart Downing. I really don't. Like, don't get me wrong, he's a decent squad player to have and everything, but he just, I don't know why so many clubs are coming in for Downing right now. It's just absolutely ridiculous, but still, we still do for the time being. And also, Downing once again rejected Toulouse, as he said he was unwilling to relocate at this time. And I was like, seriously, Stuart, like, don't get me wrong, it's fine if you want to stay here and stuff. I'm totally fine with that, but it's like, come on, man, I gave you the perfect farewell, the perfect fairy tale ending against Port Vale in the FA Cup. Not really a fairy tale ending, but you know, good enough for Stuart Downing for his final game for the club. You scored on that, I made you captain, and it's like, now it's time to leave. And he sat there in the manager's office. I've packed his bags for him. I'm trying to push him out the door, but he's like, no, I want to stay at the Riverside Stadium. So it's like, come on, mate, seriously. But anyway, we once again asked these 4 clubs here to just put in new bids for Stuart Downing to match. I think it was £5 million in total. Didn't worry about the extra 200 grand. I'll pay that if if the clubs want it, and we'll have to wait and see, because now it's like, don't get me wrong, when the first bids came in for Downing, I was like, well, if he goes, he goes, if he stays, he stays. Now I'm like, for goodness sake, mate, just hurry up and leave, seriously, because we want to buy someone else, someone younger, and it's like, we appreciate your service to the club, you know, you've been here for a lot longer than I have, but it's like, come on, mate, come on, you're not part of this long-term future, it's time to leave and go somewhere else. Still, for the first game of today's episode here, we will take on Watford away from home at Vicarage Road, and coming into this game as well, on the back of that fantastic 5-1 victory against Port Vale in the FA Cup third round. All the players were fighting fit and well rested for this game, so it was no surprise to see the first couple of chances fell to us. First header was dealt with by the goalkeeper, and then Dominic Heinz went for goal from range. There was another good stop by the goalkeeper there as he turned it behind for a corner. So still 0-0, a couple of impressive saves by the goalkeeper, but once again we float the corner into the centre with Gaston Ramirez. Look for Dominic Heinz, who loses his marker, wins the header, and finds the back of the net as well for his first goal in a Middlesbrough shirt. So our number 15 came in the summer transfer window, my first signing of the series. He's been a little bit shaky in some games, but he nets his first goal as a Middlesbrough player. He lost his marker in the area there, and he had a free header he simply wasn't going to miss. So our number 15 scores in minute number 14, and it's Watford 0 and Middlesbrough 1. Watford tried to respond here, and how about this as well? Sebastian Prodi was denied by Victor Valdez, who took an age to claw that ball off his line there. He watched the header loop over his head, just watched the ball as it was about to cross the line, but in the end, clawed it away just on time and kept the score at 1-0. Diego Menendez went close to scoring his second goal of the season. A lovely little fake Rabona and rainbow flick there into a first-time volley, but I dragged the shot wide, the post and behind for a goal kick. We were playing better in this game, though, and in the first half, I felt we were largely in control. And in the second half, how about this in the 51st minute? Menendez loses the ball, but then wins it back off Pereira and goes on a really mazy skill run here as he takes out quite a few yellow shirts and keeps on going. He could have released the ball several times during this run, but I thought, you know what? He's got the confidence. I got the confidence with him as well, and I could possibly find the back of the net after a lovely solo run, but sadly, I blazed the shot just wide the post and behind for a goal kick. So what a goal that would have been, but it was still 1-0 to the Borough. Just before the hour mark, though, a good chance for Watford to respond and get themselves back on level terms. Holobaz whipped in across from the right-hand side here and picked out Troy Deeney, arriving at the far post, and the Watford skipper dives in and finds the back of the net with the header. So the number 9 puts Watford back on level terms. We had two men there in the area, Daron and Barragan. One of them should have dealt with it instead. Deeney gets him in the middle of them and scores his 5th goal of the season. So Watford 1, Middlesbrough 1. And with 10 minutes to go, how about this? The game was still tied at 1-1. It looked as though it was going to finish as a draw, but with 10 minutes to go, Dominic Heinz, who scored the first goal of the game in the first half, gives away a penalty, and Watford have the chance to win the game at Vicarage Road in the final 10 minutes. And I dived in there because I thought the man was going to cross the ball in first time or go for goal from a tight angle. As you can see, instead he turns back on Heinz, who's lunged in and already on the floor, and he just gets straight into him, and the referee gives a penalty. So definite penalty, no complaints from me at all. It was a really bad challenge and ill time from me there, and it gave Watford a chance to win the game from the spot, but Amrabat, who won the penalty, was denied by Victor Valdez. So far on current form this season in the Premier League, the best goalkeeper in the Premier League due to the amount of clean sheets he's notched up, and he pulls off a fantastic penalty save there and keeps the score at 1-1. So Victor Valdez spares my blushes by saving the penalty, and we do indeed get a credible point, I would say. So it was a game of two halves, really. We played better in the first half, Watford better in the second half. So I'll take the point. I wanted to get the penalty save as well for the moment of the match, but for some reason it wasn't there. Neither was Menendez's mazy skill run either, so in the end I had to give it to the Heinz goal. But either way, it was a fun game. You know, quite a few chances in that one, but in the end I'll take the draw. But it is worth noting now we've had 3 games in a row in the Premier League where we haven't won, and we need to get back to winning ways ASAP. But still, following the game, as you could see, Mainz and Bournemouth rejected bids for Muto and also Callum Wilson as well. So we put in new bids for both of these strikers here, and we shall wait and see what they say. We just went up with Wilson in an inclination of 750 grand, and for Muto 500 grand. I'll be honest here, I wouldn't mind either of those strikers, but the one I really want to replace Jordan Rhodes is Benik Afobe. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. If we can get one of these guys cheaper though, I might be inclined to go after one of those two instead. But Afobe is my number 1 target for the replacement for Jordan Rhodes. But I guess we'll have to wait and see, because it looks like we won't be signing any of those 3 strikers, because Jordan Rhodes doesn't want to leave Middlesbrough either. He and Stuart Downham must be roommates. He says he doesn't want to leave. He wants to stay in Middlesbrough. Doesn't want to go to Montpellier. And I was like, for goodness sake, seriously, what is going on right now? As you see these clubs come back for Stuart Downing here, and no one wants to meet the £5 million valuation we have asked for, as Bournemouth reject our bid for Benny Kofobe as well. So I was like, well, what can I do now? Because I've got Downing and Rhodes here, and don't get me wrong, if they want to stay, they're welcome to stay, but I'd rather sell them and get younger players in. So if I can't sell them naturally because they don't want to relocate, I'll have to buy them the plane ticket and force them to leave, you know, tie them up and shove them on the back of the plane, because right now they just won't go anywhere. So I said, you know what, let's try and swap them out of the club instead. £4 million plus Jordan Rhodes for Benny Kofobe. We shall wait and see what Bournemouth say to that deal, and as you'll see in just a moment's time, we do the exact same with Stuart Downing. Once we reject these bids here from these clubs that aren't going to meet the £5 million valuation we're asking for, we go ahead and try and swap him out of the club for Josh Onomah, the Spurs playmaker, and try and send him to White Hart Lane. So it's kind of frustrating really, because I just wish there was a way to talk to your players in career mode and try and make them understand situations and scenarios far easier, because right now, of course, when a player comes to you, like in a player conversation screen for example, and says they're homesick and they want to leave, or they're not getting enough first team football or something, it's like all you can do is take in that information. You can't have any kind of response whatsoever. You can't talk to them and try and make them understand the situation clearer. And it's the same with this sort of stuff as well. When a player like Downing doesn't want to relocate, it's like I wish I could just try and persuade him to leave the club, because, you know, for example, like we discussed earlier, he's 32 years old now. He's no spring chicken. He's on the downslope of his career. He's got 1.5 years left in his contract. It's probably best for his career and for the club as well to let him go. It's like I wish you could just persuade your players to leave and just have better interactions with your players really, as opposed to it being a one-way street like it is now. They tell you something and you can't do anything about it to try and respond. Still, following that, as you can see here, we put in bids for Cartavia and also Ntep, two wingers who are currently available on pre-contracts right now. We shall wait and see what they say and see if we can convince them to join the Riverside Stadium next season on a free transfer, as a bid came in for Saido Berahino here from Everton, but of course we just said forget about it. Berahino is going nowhere. Still following that, yet another bid for Stuart Downing, two bids actually, one from Sheffield Wednesday and one from Lorient. Every club under the sun is putting in a bid for Stuart Downing right now. He just doesn't want to seem to go anywhere, so I thought I'll stall it for the time being, wait and see what happens in that Spurs deal with Josh Onomah, as Mainz once again rejected our bid for Muto, and also Bournemouth rejected a bid for Callum Wilson and also a Phobe as well, as we got some more prize money for our FA Cup performance. But Ntep did accept his free contract, so it looks like he is going to go ahead and sign for Middlesbrough on a free transfer and come in to start next season. So really pleased about that. And a question for you guys today as well: how many players do you sign on pre-contracts during a career mode season? Let me know in the comment section down below, or over the course of a save, totally fine. Some people really don't like pre-contracts. They say it's unrealistic and it's too easy. It's too easy of an exploit to get the best players on free transfers. Just got to wait 6 months before they come in. Some people really don't like them at all. Some people avoid them completely. Some people abuse them as much as they can and sign all the best players in the world on pre-contracts. But let me know in the comment section down below today, guys. Where do you stand on pre-contracts? Do you like them? Do you think they're good in moderation, so only like 1 or 2 per season, for example, and not some of the best players in the world? Where do you stand on pre-contracts? Let me know in the comment section down below. I asked you guys before this series started to customize my career mode. I asked you guys what you thought about the pre-contract situation. You guys gave me no limitations whatsoever though, so for the time being, we'll continue to try and sign a few players on pre-contracts, but I'll be interested to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comment section down below. Still, we also went in for Deschilio on a pre-contract, as a bid came in for Will Hughes here, we rejected it, and also yet more bids for Stuart Downing. Wolves now want to take him to Molineux, so they put in a bid for Downing as well. Once again, we say the benchmark is £5 million. Also, as you can see, the test came in now, the Dutch side, so once again we ask for £5 million. We shall wait and see what they say, and we said the exact same with Sheffield Wednesday if they want to take him to Hillsborough, and also, was it Lorient? I think the other club was Lorient, the French club. We say £5 million or just forget about it. Yes, Lorient. So £5 million or forget about it. So that's the benchmark for Downing now. It's gone down by 200 grand. We'll take £5 million for him. But again, I think even if all those clubs do accept those bids of £5 million, those counter offers, he still probably won't leave the club because he just loves Middlesbrough too much. He just doesn't want to leave again. But anyway, Cartavia did accept his free contract. Deschilio declined his. We stalled Cartavia just for the time being, just because I'm not too sure about it really. We've got Ntep coming in next season. Do we want to sign Cartavia as well? Especially when you consider our wide midfield area right now. We've got Fisher, we've got Adama, and we've got the young star Menendez as well. Do we need another young winger to come in? I guess we'll have to wait and see. We would like Deschilio though. Deschilio would be a good signing for us, I think. A left back that can also play right back as well, like Fabio in our side. He's 77 overall, 24 years old. He'd be our best fullback in terms of the rating, I think he'd be a really smart signing from Milan. But I guess we'll have to wait and see, as Lorient rejected our bid, our counter-offer, I should say, valuation for Stuart Downing. Still, for the second and final game of today's episode here, finally the transfers come to an end. So many transfers in today's episode here. We take on West Ham here at the Riverside Stadium. So coming into this game on the back of 3 games without a win in the Premier League, desperate to return to winning ways of this one as we would take on the Hammers. You would probably say that the game at the Olympic Stadium was the turning point in our season, when we were on the back of a 3-game loss streak and then we beat West Ham. Since then, we've rose up the table and not looked back. But in this game, we really did struggle. I couldn't really create any chance whatsoever, and our first clear-cut one came with just a few minutes to go in the game in the second half. It was a really dull game with very few chances whatsoever, but as Menendez goes on a skill run here, he takes it around several West Ham players and goes for goal from just inside the area, but Simon Mignolet, the former Liverpool and Sunderland goalkeeper, turns behind for a corner. So a good shot, good stop there from the Belgian shot stopper, and from the corner, well, this is the final chance for us to win the game. Menendez whipped it in. He found George Friend off the bench, who won the header, but sadly couldn't get his first goal of the season as he hit the crossbar, and it was still 0-0. And from that, West Ham broke. We pushed so many red shirts forward for the corner there. They went down this right-hand side with Faguli. They had men over as well on a 3-on-2 break. They chipped to the far post, found Zaza at the far post, unmarked to the back stick, but could not hit the target, and the Italian fired it wide of the post. So final score, Middlesbrough 0, West Ham 0. Getting a little bit concerned now. Our last 4 Premier League games, no wins whatsoever, and we're beginning to slide down the table right now. Very frustrating indeed. Of course, a long way to go, but just not clicking on all cylinders. Not clicking on all cylinders, that explains it right there. We're not firing on all cylinders right now and playing well at all. We're not clicking whatsoever. So we got to get it sorted right now, because if we do want to qualify for a European place for next season, then we need to make sure we get those wins now and start going back on a win streak of some sort. As the final thing you'll see is Sheffield Wednesday meeting our valuation of £5 million for Stuart Downing, but of course we know that he still probably won't leave. But that will end today's episode in the FIFA 17 career mode, guys. So a big thank you for watching. I really hope you have enjoyed it. The support throughout this series has been absolutely fantastic so far, so I really do appreciate that, and I'll be grateful if you could leave a like on this episode too if you enjoyed it. Much love to you all, and have a great evening, and I'll see you for the next episode in the FIFA 17 career mode very soon.